guys, this is Jessica Alexandrakis, and today I'm going to make a little video about how to baste and stitch English paper pieces, English paper piecing patchwork. We're using 2-inch square templates, look like this. And the project that I've been working on are these tiny little coasters, or slightly large coasters, but eventually it will become a mug rug, which, you know, everybody needs more of because they're just adorable and they're fun to make. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is to get your patchwork. You're going to take a template. You're going to take a piece of fabric. I rough cut my fabric less than 3 inches. I do like a bit more than a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. I take 2 regular office paper clips. You see you've got the big side and the small side. Take the big side behind and put the small side, there you go, right where you can see it. Be careful, hold on, let me let the camera adjust. These 2 little metal edges here, you want to make sure that those stay above the fabric edge. It's over, because if the edge of the metal of the paper clip gets stuck on your fabric, you want to keep those 2, don't push it all the way in. That's just a pain in the butt. I do like to use my fingernails to finger press the edges here. You see, there we go. Baste paper clips on. I'm going to baste today in yellow so you can see my stitches. I'm using Gutermann 100% cotton. Absolutely love this stuff. I do like to piece with a number 10 between. This is not your typical basting or piecing needle, but it's the one that I learned to sew on, and so I continue. A second, forgive me guys, as my eyesight is not what it used to be. All right, there we go. I'm going to make a quilter's knot by laying the thread over my finger, crossing it with the tip of the needle, wrapping around twice, reaching up to catch those wraps, pulling it through. Got a little knot there. I use a single strand to baste. I'm also going to condition my thread with the Robot Mom Sews Unicorn Thread Gloss, which is just a thread conditioner, and it smells really good. You hold that over there. That coats it a little bit with this waxy thread gloss and helps reduce tangles. So I come to my first corner, finger pressed it with my nail. I'm going to go ahead and fold that over, hold it in place with my thumbnail. Oh, I forgot my thimble. Can't sew anything without a thimble, folks. There we go. That was scary. I don't know how to sew without a thimble on. I'm going to go right in here, work my needle in through all the layers. Okay, but not the paper. And I take 2 stitches in the same place, essentially, which makes that a back stitch. Sometimes the paper clips get in the way, but it's nothing we can't handle. Come over to this one here. Again, use my needle to crease it over. Forgive the dog, she's a little bit upset she could not star in this video today. I take a middle stitch in the back to hold it taut. Come back here. 1, 2. Turn my piece, hold the next corner. Again, take a tiny bite of fabric and the seam allowance there, and that's just to hold everything in place. We are not sewing through the papers here, guys. This method of English paper piecing allows you to keep the basting stitches in. You don't have to remove them in the end. You can just pull the papers out carefully with a crochet hook or your fingernail. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, and here, because it is a 2-inch square, I do want to come back to the first corner I started in. Depending on the size of your piece, you might not need to do that. 1, 2, done. All right, and then you take your paper clips off. Cut your piece there. And there you go. Super adorable, right? Okay. I'm going to line my pieces up like that. Let's go through that one more time because I have just enough thread here. I'm making a knot, pulling it on. Okay. I have the 2 paper clips holding my fabric to my template. These pieces of paper came from paperpieces.com. You can also cut your own templates, and there's a whole bunch of different sellers depending on where you live. The internet, of course, has everything. There's my knot. I'm going to take a stitch, not too close to the edge. I don't know. Is that a 1/4 inch? Less than a 1/4 inch. Come to the next one. This one has less of a seam allowance than the last one does. I usually don't measure, guys, when I'm cutting out patches. I use a lot of scraps. And I just hold the template up to it and cut around with by eye, the seam allowance that I think I'd like to have. I'm going to take a small bite there. 1, 2. All right, here we go. Paper clips out. Piece is ready to go. Move that over a little. All right. I'm going to rethread my needle and start whip stitching these blocks together. I like to use a piece of thread about from my fingertips to my elbow. That's hard to get on camera. Sorry, that was awkward. But when I'm piecing, when I'm piecing by hand, I don't like to have a very long thread because it will get tangled. The thread conditioner cuts down on that, of course. But nobody wants to be frustrated while they're sewing, so let's Oh, and I might as well apologize now for my terrible manicure. It's a pandemic, guys. I bought a color of nail polish and I painted my nails one day and didn't buy nail polish remover. We've all been there. Okay, so I have my 2 pieces I'd like to sew. Let's put the green one on top. Match all 4 corners, okay? We're going to start by burying your knot in the seam allowance like this. I just take a few stitches up towards that first corner I want to sew. And then holding the pieces here, I'll go a little bit through the golden fabric and a little bit through the green fabric, not hitting the paper at all. Pull that through. And in that little loop here, I'm just going to catch that loop and make a tiny knot to secure that corner. The reason I want to bury my tail here with the knot there is that if anybody jumps on the quilt later on, you know, when it's in use and being loved, it's less likely to pop through to the front if it is secured in your seam allowance. I'm going to start whip stitching by pushing through. You can feel the edge of the paper template as your needle goes through. Don't hit it. If you take a little bit out of the paper, it's not the end of the world, but you should be able just to feel it slide underneath your needle and whip stitch like so. Whip stitching, I try to get maybe 8 to 10 stitches per inch, and I go straight across here, and then on the back the stitches look slanted, and the front the stitches look perpendicular to the seam. When I get to the end, okay, I'm gonna go here and here, see, wrap it again or go through that loop, and then I'm going to back stitch a bit wider stitches 2 or 3 times over the line of stitching I just sewed to secure that thread, and then work that needle through the seam allowance there. And I don't tie a knot at that point because we have really secured that thread. So here you go, and there. If you can see the stitches, I don't mind at all because I sew by hand and I want people to know it. But if you mind, there's various types of stitches you can use in English paper piecing to make your patches a little bit less noticeable, or your stitches a little less noticeable. Okay guys, I'm going to go ahead and continue my patchwork. Please watch the video over and over again until you feel confident doing this. There are also videos posted on my YouTube and Instagram for putting your patchwork together and basting it into a mug rug, and big stitch hand quilting with pearl cotton. It was a pleasure as always to sew with the online community, and if you're interested in taking any of my classes through the Uniondale Public Library in New York this fall, I am teaching both hand and machine sewing by Zoom. It's completely free. Go to my Instagram, you should be able to get more information there. Again guys, this is Jessica Alexandrakis. You can follow me at Jessica_Alex on Instagram, and my blog, updated occasionally, is lifeunderquilts@blogspot.com. No, that's not right. lifeunderquilts.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you have fun with your stitches. Take care.